This series is all about you. I haven't done a subscriber video where I answer your YouTube questions specifically in a really long time. But we're changing that today with a new series where I answer your YouTube questions specifically. And look, this is not to be confused with my podcast called Comments Over Coffee. I'll link to it down in the description, where I also answer YouTube questions. Instead, think of it like a YouTube version of that, to where I just go into the comment section and I find the comments where people are asking really good questions, and then I answer them. Starting today with this question from Weirdcast. Weirdcast asks, out of curiosity, how can a cinematic comedy-oriented channel rank in search, or just a comedy channel? I mean, what's the video about? You can't tell the audience what happens because then it won't be funny. You can't call your video funny video or anything like that. That's a really good question, Weirdcast. I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this that have channels to where you're thinking to yourself, you know what, search doesn't really fit into what it is that I'm doing. And that's perfectly okay, because search isn't necessarily for everyone. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you can tap into search, do it as part of your content strategy, but not every channel is a perfect fit for trying to rank videos in search. And after hearing that, you might be thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, I've been doing it wrong this entire time. Here's the thing, when it comes to YouTube search, it's very specific in terms of people are looking for a specific thing, and when they look for that specific thing, then you want to be able to show up in search. Now, YouTube search is fantastic for cooking channels. It's fantastic for how-to channels in general. If you're doing any type of educational content, if you're doing anything where you're showing people how to do stuff that they might actually look for how to do it, it's perfect for that. But if you're in a situation like Weirdcast, where you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, I want to try to tap into YouTube search, but the content that I'm making, like I'm trying to kind of shoehorn my videos into YouTube search, even though it might not necessarily be something that people look for. And trying to shoehorn when it comes to YouTube search is a very bad approach. And the reason that it's a bad approach is because YouTube is trying to show people the content that is most relevant to them, that they are the most likely to enjoy. So if you are trying to shoehorn your video into YouTube search, even though your video isn't made for YouTube search, then what's happening in that situation is you're trying to force it in where it's not something that people will necessarily respond to for that search result. And what happens in that situation is you end up putting in all of this effort and trying to, optimize your keywords and trying to research your keywords and try to find the ideal things that people might look for in order to come to your video. But if your content doesn't support what somebody would actually expect when they're looking for that particular thing in search, then really you're just completely wasting your time. So you have to think bigger. You have to think from a content strategy as a whole, and you have to think of who it is that you're trying to target, and you have to think of what sources it is that you're trying to target that viewer with in order to really get eyeballs on what it is that you're doing. Here's what I mean. If you are doing comedy content, then trying to basically build your entire video's metadata around a specific keyword phrase isn't necessarily going to be the greatest fit for you. Whereas thinking of it from a bigger picture point of view, in terms of people come onto YouTube and YouTube is presenting content to them that they're most likely to watch. When they're presenting content to them that they're most likely to watch, it's based on the things that those people have been proven to be interested in the first place. And it's not always things that they search for. That's one of the things that they consider, but it's things that they've been watching recently. But in a nutshell, when you think of getting your videos in front of people, you have to think from a different perspective. You have to think about, when I make the topic of this video, if I'm going to be making comedy content or any type of content, I need to think about the people that I'm trying to reach and the things that they might be interested in that would bring them to my content, or that would help YouTube show them my content. This is why people like me who make content like me, this is why we tell people so much to pay really close attention to things that are trending. That's because when you're paying close attention to things that are trending, you can tap into the general interest of a specific topic. For example, if there's a big movie that's coming out, or there's a big event that's happening in the world, or a big event that just a lot of people are paying attention to. It doesn't have to be global, but just if there's something that is happening that people are paying a lot of attention to, then that gives you the opportunity to be able to tap into the interest that people have at large. This is why you see a lot of music channels when there's a popular artist that makes a song about something and there's a lot of widespread interest in that particular song. This is why they make covers about it, because in that situation, what they're doing is they're tapping into that wider interest of people that are listening to that song or sharing that song with their friends and things like that. which then will help YouTube identify, hey, this content creator is making this particular video and they're getting a really good response. People are enjoying it, they're sharing it, they're coming back, they're listening to it or watching it more. Therefore, other people that have been interested in this particular topic or this particular song is also somebody that we should possibly show the content from this creator, show it to them on their homepage instead of something else. So what you need to do in that situation, if you're making content that isn't necessarily made for search or content that isn't something that you would leverage search for, in that situation, you just have to think about what things are people generally interested in at scale. So if you're making comedy videos, try to make your comedy about something. Now, if you're thinking to yourself like, oh, well, that's great, but I want to do my original stuff. I'm not saying to do cover comedy. I don't even think that's a thing. But what I am saying is you need to think of how you can wrap things that people are interested in into the comedy that you're doing so that you can have the chance to get in front of more people based on the things that they are interested in. Another example of this would be like, let's say that you have a channel where you're talking about dogs. If there's like a popular dog breed, like some new hybrid that somebody made, then in that situation, if that's even how dog breeding works, then in that situation, you would want to make sure that you make some content about that, because then in that situation, again, you're tapping into that interest of that particular new dog breed. So you don't have to necessarily make a video titled for that in search. You just have to think, how can I write this title and how can I put a thumbnail together that would make this interesting for people who are interested in that topic to want to click on it, so that people will click on it, watch the video. I'll send positive signals to YouTube showing them that people are enjoying this content. And then they will be more likely to put this content about this new dog breed in front of new people that will bring new people into my channel as viewers that I can hopefully convert as a subscriber because they like that dog breed content. Or even if you're making jokes about that dog breed in your situation, it would give YouTube the information that it needs in order for their systems to show your content to people that are interested in that topic. So as I'm saying all this, I'm trying to think of, how can I say this in order to really make it hit home, and I think I've got it. If you don't make search-based content that isn't a good fit for YouTube search, then what you want to do in your situation is you want to optimize your video topically. What I mean by that is you want to make sure that in your title, your description, and the actual content of the video, that it is crystal clear what it is that you're actually talking about, what the content is about. So if you're doing comedy in that situation, then you have to think about, okay, I'm doing comedy here, but what is it that my video is about in terms of what is it that I'm making this comedy about, so that I can optimize around that, so that I can tap into the interests of the people that are on YouTube that are interested in that specific topic to increase my chances of getting on the homepage of people that are interested in that particular topic. But here's the catch to this whole thing, and this applies if you're doing search-related content or if you're just trying to tap into all the recommendation features by really paying attention to what it is that you're doing with your titles and thumbnails and content. But the thing is regardless of what source it is that you're trying to get your videos on, because I know everybody's like, how do I get my videos on more homepages? How do I get my videos suggested more? How do I get my videos to show up in search? And they think that they're doing all the things, but at the end of the day, it still comes down to how people are responding to what it is that you're doing. So even if you are optimizing for the topic approach, in that situation, you still have to be able to get people to click on your thumbnails and titles and enjoy your content and further engage in your content as a bonus. So that same exact thing applies to search. There'll be a lot of people that'll reach out and they'll be like, hey, Nick, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm using the right keywords and the right keywords phrases, and I think I'm making good thumbnails. But what they're not realizing is that the content itself isn't something that people are enjoying, therefore it doesn't stay in search results for that long. Same exact thing will happen on the homepage or in suggested videos or any of the recommendations, because if people are not clicking on what it is that you're doing, then YouTube is not going to continue to show it to people. And if they're not watching once they do click, then they're not going to continue to show it to people. So even if you are optimizing for things topically or for search, whichever approach it is that you're taking, then in that situation, you have to make sure that people are still responding to what it is that you're doing. Because if they're not responding, then you're going to be dead in the water right out of the gate. And it doesn't matter what approach that you take. You have to, at the core of it all, right? At the heart of everything, you have to be able to make content that people enjoy. This series is an experiment, so if you have any questions about what it is that you're doing on YouTube, make sure that you leave them down in the comment section below, and it can be about anything video and YouTube related. And if you want to learn about growing your YouTube channel, click into this playlist right here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.